California's Prop 19. I'm Shannon Ellison with the Walker team of Interior Real Estate. You guys know, last week I promised I would talk a bit more about Prop 19 and how it's going to affect both people who are going to inherit a home and people over 55 and a few other select groups. The first part of the proposition is going to give people over 55 and the severely disabled and those who are victims of a wildfire or natural disaster the ability to move from their primary home to a replacement primary home anywhere in the state of California and keep their tax base. This is going to take effect on April 1st this year. So let's jump right in. So currently, before Prop 19 is in effect, if someone sells their primary home and purchases a replacement home that's not within 10 cooperating counties under Prop 13, the tax assessment on the new home is based on the new home's price. So Prop 19 is going to allow them to keep that original tax base, which if they bought ages ago, it could be really low still. Let me share an example. Imagine that Mr. and Mrs. Smith purchased their San Jose home in 1976 and they paid $100,000 for it. I know, crazy numbers. With property tax and assessment increases each year, their tax basis is now only $190,000 and their annual property tax bill is $2,000. Their home is appreciated over time and it's now worth over $2 million. If they decide to sell their home and purchase a replacement home before the change on April 1st, they're going to lose their low tax base of $2,000 unless they purchase within those few specific counties in California. Now, what happens if they want to move to SoCal or Sacramento and be closer to their grandkids or closer to family? If they purchase a home around the same value as their current home right now at that $2 million mark, their new property taxes are going to be now over $20,000 a year. Prop 19 is going to allow them to keep their current tax base of $2,000 without being penalized as long as they purchase the home below the sales price of their current home. But if the market value of the new property that the owner purchases is greater than the market value of the old property, then the difference is going to be added onto the taxable assessed value of the old property. One of the aspects that I'm most excited about is that this will also be available to people who lost their home from a wildfire or a natural disaster. We have seen too many times, especially in California, people are punished with higher taxes when they didn't even choose to move. It was an earthquake or a fire that caused them to have to move, and they had that tax jump. Lastly, people who qualify for Prop 19 will be able to take advantage of this transfer 3 times after the age of 55 to account for any changes in their lifestyle. So I hope that all made sense. The second aspect of the proposition is how the version finally got passed. So this is the flip side. It's going to affect properties in parent-to-child transfers or inheritances. Currently, people can leave up to $1 million in investment properties at the tax basis that they established without triggering a significant tax hike upon the parent's death. Under Prop 19, only a parent's primary home is qualified to keep the tax basis, and only if the child keeps the property as their primary home after the parent's death. This means that the family lake house or any rental properties are going to trigger a new tax base upon the death of the parents. So, that was a lot. This exemption is for those 55 and over, and the other groups I mentioned earlier. It's going to cut into the tax revenue for the state because they're getting a break here. But that's going to be more than offset by the gains that are ending breaks on inherited properties, yielding a net gain that the state estimates could reach hundreds of millions of dollars for schools and local governments over time. Most of the new money is going to go to fire protection, which we all know that we need here in California. So there are a couple of pertinent dates for the new tax change. We have February 16th this year is going to be when the parent-to-child exclusion ends, and the home replacement aspect for 55 and older and those others I mentioned before will apply to the transfers starting on April 1st. And that's it, guys. If you would like to know more about how this affects your personal situation, simply reach out to me, DM me, or send me an email. My contact information is below, and I will see you guys next week.